All right. Well, we want this Q&A again. Welcome to the Q&A. A few questions came in. I see someone just asked a question here, so deal with it. When you see the mezuzah, what do we do? Right. So when you see a mezuzah, you should kiss it. Right. Kiss it with put your hand up, right, and kiss your hand. There are some people that if they kiss the mezuzah itself. Most people put their hand on it and they kiss it. It's got whatever, important thing in mezuzah. Definitely an important thing. It's a very interesting, custom of, of why, why we do it. What the purpose is. Right. So, one second here. It's interesting. A person may say, well, if a kid's mezuzah, I don't like something superstitious, right? I might say, what's it, like a good luck charm, so to speak. It's something that, should protect us. Physical harm, spiritual harm, securing the house or wherever you live, so to speak. Some in the Middle Ages, there were rabbinic authorities that thought this is a very good idea. Why? In order that when you leave the house, you utter a prayer asking God for protection. Also, touch the mezuzah, you have intention, the three-letter name of God, Shakai, the God of, it was printed outside the parchment, so to speak. What else? This name of God, why does it protect? What's going on? So God gave Abraham the commandment of circumcision, right, to express that, we have natural impulses, we're controlled by instinct, so to speak. So that, strong instinct has to be harnessed. We want to perfect ourselves. So I guess if you look at the Torah itself, the most identified with this characteristic is Joseph, right? More than probably anybody else. And, he controlled his instinct, his impulses, and had that test probably more than anyone else by Potiphar's wife. So the custom became that we touch or kiss the mezuzah when you leave the house, and pretty much every doorpost that has a mezuzah on it. Again, what's the purpose? Divine protection, right? That is the, that's the reason. That is that's the purpose, right? So here, the word die for God's name, Shakai, doesn't just mean enough, right? You have to know when to use it, when to practice self-control, etc. So also, protection for that. Protection for that as well. Yeah, there is an idea that, things go wrong, in the house. There is an idea that, if that's the case, and there's strange things happening, bottom line is what? The fact that you get your mezuzahs checked. Right, that's a common thing a rabbi will say if things are, strange things going on, let's say in a person's house. So checking the mezuzah is definitely a good thing, because if mezuzah isn't kosher, then something cause problems, right? You don't have that same level. You don't have that same level of protection. as you would if you had it. Right? So yeah, that's a common thing. That's a common thing that people would say if things are going, if you have probably have a lot of issues going on in their house. Strange things, let's say, going on. So yeah, that'd be one thing. Definitely, check the mezuzah, see if the mezuzahs are kosher. And again, the purpose is divine protection, right? That is the purpose. That is the purpose of having a mezuzah up. Now, another question came in, or a few questions. Let's see how far we get. We'll see how far we get over here. Somebody asks, comes to charity. Are clothes or food considered charity? Normally, when we consider charity, take 10% of what you make. Right? Take 10% off the top. And I guess if you want to do it cumulatively, you would take 10% off what you made after taxes, right? That would be the obligation. That would be the obligation for charity, or 20%. You can give as much as 20%, but not more than that, because you never know, what's going to happen to a person's life. Person may need money, so you give too much away, it might be a problem. But the question is, can I only use money? Is there an obligation just to use money? So a person could give charity with other things, even if you don't have money, right? What about tutoring someone? It's an act of charity, right? Helping them, giving someone an apprenticeship, guiding them. That could be definitely a form of, that could definitely be a form of charity. Giving someone a job could be a form of charity. Now, the question was, what about clothes or food? Yeah, so if you're going to tell me you're going to give the clothes away anyway, right, is that considered charity? Why not? You can help someone with clothing. Can you write that off? Oh, that's the question. Could you say, okay, person's obligated to give $100 to charity. Can I give clothing instead of equal value? Why not? Should be allowed to. Right? Can a person give food for that purpose? Yeah, why not? They get deducted from charity. That definitely could be done. Ramosha Schneider, blessed memory, our Rebbe's Rebbe, Shiva students, they couldn't give charity. They didn't have money. Right? So he instituted a program called the Vodas HaKodesh. Vodas HaKodesh means really holy service. But what did he do? He had older students twice a week learn with younger students having difficulty. Right? In other words, donate a couple hours of their time. That's also charity. Right? Also charity. Just because they're not being paid for it doesn't mean it's not charity. Right? They can give up their own time. They can help others. Right? So, a student can do that. And they get the mitzvah of charity here. So it's not just with money. Could be donating time. Helping others. It could also be charity. In many ways. Could be clothing, could be food. Right? It doesn't specifically have to do with, with money. The reality is, though, you have to give, within their means. Whatever a person, can give. And never lose by giving charity. But there are cases where you don't have to give. And what would those cases be? Persons poor. They don't have money. They're in the red every month, like most people here in Israel. They're in the red. So what do you do? I mean, that's how people survive. That's how people survive in many ways. But the reality is, somebody like that, they have debts. They have debts. They have to give charity. Well, don't you have an obligation to pay your debts back first? Sure. Can't do both. Definitely can't do both. So if a person that has debts, you'd be exempt. You'd be exempt. Now, if a person got back on their feet, they should keep track of how much they need to give. There are some people that, this is the whole question here. Even if they have debts, they still feel it's important to give. Yeah, obligation? No. Not at all. And some people may say it's kind of foolish. Why? I understand it's a big mitzvah to give. Big mitzvah to help out others, whatever you can give. At the same time, you owe other people money. So how can you give money away? And even small amounts. How can you give money away? You owe money. You owe money to whoever you owe it to. Right? So a person can't say, well, I'm going to be so righteous, I'm going to give charity. I'm going to give X amount. It doesn't have to be a significant amount. I'm going to give X amount, but what about the people you owe money to? People you owe money to, you got to pay. Right? You got to pay them. When you're able to. But the bottom line is, a person has debts. Who says you're obligated? Who says you're obligated to pay to to give charity? You're exempt. You're 100% exempt. Right? No question. There's absolutely zero question. There's no question over here. But there are people that feel, regardless if they're in debt, that they want to give charity. You can look at it two ways. Either, they want to fulfill their obligation giving charity. Okay. There's nothing to sneeze at. People want to help, help out others if they can. At the same time, people could say, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that because you're putting yourself more in debt. Now you're going to say a person who gives charity never loses. Right? You never lose. I got that question. Helped out a lot of people that had all my money stolen. So someone asked the question, do you have regrets? No. And if a person would regret, I'm just going to throw this out there. If a person would regret and feel bad about the mitzvahs they've done, brought down, that what? You lose all your mitzvahs. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how difficult the situation, a person should never regret what they've done. When it comes to Torah mitzvahs. You can say it was hard, it was this. But once you regret it, if a person makes that statement, you regretted what you did, you lose everything. You lose all your mitzvahs. That you don't want to do. That for sure you don't want to do. So charity is a huge thing. And charity starts at home. Who are we going to help first? Jews. Family. They help family. But everyone's going to help their own. There's not a person going to say, oh, it's so selfish. You only think about yourself. Yeah. And no one else does. All right. Big catch 22. What? No one else does? Of course. They're going to think about themselves, their family, and their people first. You think Christians are going to give to Jews first? Not at all. They'll help them, then they'll entice them to get them to convert. That's a different issue. Right? But that's ulterior motives. They'll help others because, they want to convert them. But of course, they're going to help their own first. And notice, you're not going to call them selfish. You call them a lot of things. Right? You call the Christians a lot of things or whatever. Right? But people are out to help their own. We Jews, we're 1/1000, if that's, of the world's population. Think anyone's going to help us? There's one lesson we learned from the Holocaust. A lot of lessons we learned. One major lesson we learned from the Holocaust is you don't rely on mankind. You never ever rely on man. That's one lesson. So we have to help our own. Ain't no one going to help us. We have an obligation to help our own. Everyone has an obligation to help their own if they want. That's not being conceited. That's not being stuck up. That's normal. So for us, family member, you try and help them as much as you can. But Got to bolster schools. Got to help schools. They're always running deficits. Boys' schools, girls' schools, all kinds of things. Widows, orphans, rabbis, right? Right? These are obligations. That, that's, the question is, so, I think Tornus Rufus asked Rabbi Akiva, if your God is so great and he can do anything, why they're poor people? Good question. What was Rabbi Akiva's answer? He says, so the rich would have a portion of the world to come. So people with means could help those that struggle. Could God take care of everybody's needs in one shot? 100%. Doesn't need me to agree. 100%. Can make everybody rich, take care of their needs, not a problem. But people struggle for all kinds of reasons. Well, one reason is to have other people help them. Give them a merit. Give them a portion of the world to come. Right? That helps. That's certainly going to help. Right? As Rabbi Akiva said, how do rich people get a portion of the world to come? Because if they have all this money, they have to give. They have to give according to their means. If they're worth a lot of money, they write a check for $1,000. Very good. Right? But if they can help a lot more, same person has a lot less money, gets $100, who gets the bigger mitzvah? They want to give less. Because we're talking proportionally. I see it a lot. People who don't have very much, they'll do what they can to help. Whether it's giving charity, giving a loan if they can, whatever. Seen it many times. People have big hearts. They have big hearts. Right? But the whole purpose of whatever we have is to help others. I'm not saying give it all away. You have to live also. Right? But you have to help others. There are always people in a worse situation than us. Story with Rabbi Akiva. Poor person came to him, and the Gemara says it was Elijah the prophet. Right? Elijah the prophet came to Rabbi Akiva and asked Rabbi, he didn't know it was Elijah the prophet, but he came and asked Rabbi Akiva, did you have straw? Now they were sleeping on straw beds. Can't imagine how comfortable that was. But Rabbi Akiva said incredulously, wow, there's someone who doesn't even have straw. They're very poor. His wife, was the daughter of Kabbalah, one of the richest people at that time. And because she married this ignorant person, i.e. Rabbi Akiva, didn't know anything, the age of 40, he totally cut her off. Totally cut her off. They had no money. They had nothing. Right? But God's coming, comforting them in the form of Elijah the prophet. They're struggling, no question. And what happens? Someone's struggling even worse than them. If a person thinks their situation's worse, always people worse off. We don't think in those terms. A person, let's say financially, having real difficulty. They're having a lot of difficulty. Go to India, see kids living on the streets. See people now malnourished. So it can always be worse. We're not asking for it. But see, a person's going to say, I can't think in those terms. I'm living right now, right here. Going through what you're right. There are people starving in other parts of the world. Okay? Not necessarily their fault. It could be part of the regime, other things going on, whatever it is. 100%. But could it be worse? Oh, yeah. We're not interested. It should be worse. Not at all. But we don't think in those terms. We never don't think in those terms. You'll say, yeah. Bottom line is that we only look at what we're going through. We don't see, we mentioned this many times, we don't see the bigger picture. We don't fathom anything else. That's what we're going through. Our own personal difficulty. And you're going to say, isn't that the most important thing? What we go through? What we struggle? Yeah. Until, let's say a person's in synagogue, it happens a lot in the morning or in the afternoon or at night, doesn't really matter. People come through and, they need help. And, the stories are pretty gruesome. Someone's spouse is cancer and they can't function and trying to marry off kids and got other expenses and whatever. They got no help. You hear these cases all the time. People have to marry off kids, medical issues, different, all kinds of things. All kinds of things. They're heart-wrenching. Absolutely heart-wrenching. So you hear something like that, and a person will say, well, I don't have it so bad. It could be bad. I'm not saying not. But when you hear what other people have, you're going to say, I'm glad I have what I have. Vilna Gaon, we mentioned before, Elijah Vilna, more than 250 years ago, sent his students to the hospital to visit people in the hospital before Shabbos. And his students were starving. Basically, had no food, no money, but he sent them to the hospital for a reason, in order to see other people couldn't function for themselves. Who were in pain, couldn't feed themselves. Were there all kinds of hardship. So they went into Shabbos very different. You're going to tell me, when they sat down at the Friday night meal, what type of soup did they have? They're lucky if they had scraps of a potato. Maybe a carrot, piece of a carrot. Meat? What meat? Chicken. They're poor, extremely poor. That didn't change, right? The poverty for them did not change. What changed? Mentality. Say, wow, these people have it much worse than we do. They can't function. They're in pain. Can't eat themselves. Can't take care of their needs. But you know what someone's going to say, Rabbi, that's great. Powerful message. But I'm living for myself today. Not worrying about people in the hospital, as long as I'm not in the hospital. Right? I got other issues. Okay? You're going to say one doesn't negate the other. Just because I have this and they have that, so what? Perspective. Imagine someone suffers from arthritis. They're in pain. They got chronic pain. And imagine one day the pain goes way down. They can do cartwheels. Doesn't hurt. Or they can go like this. Very little pain. You don't think they're going to be jumping around whistling Dixie over here? Of course. Because they're in constant pain. Until the pain comes back. Then you forget. Right? Or a person's healthy and everything's good or whatever. Until you get sick, you don't realize what you have. We take a lot of things for granted. A lot of things for granted. Yeah, but people are going to say, you don't understand, you don't get it. This is hardship. This is what I'm going through. Okay. Not denying it. And I'll be generous today. I'm in a halfway decent mood. I'll be generous. Okay. Let's say it's true. So what? Perspective. Everything we do, everything we should see is all perspective. What happens, how you deal with it. But it's very hard when you're going through it to see the other side, to see the bigger picture. Much more difficult. But if you see the bigger picture, doesn't it make really small what you're going through? That's what I would say. But we don't, when a person's going through it, you can't see outside of it. You're locked in, so to speak. When you're totally locked in, you don't see the right to the left. You only see what you're going through right now. You don't even hear any of this. You won't even look at the list I told people to write. 10 things you're thankful for. You don't even look at it because you're only super focused what you need to do. And I'm not saying it's not important. But perspective is everything. When you look at what you're going through now, even if it's hard, think, what am I thankful for? What do I have that other people don't have? Or whatever the case is. It's a totally different way of looking at it. Easy? I'm not going to say it's that easy. Because the person, whatever they go through, they're going to take this list and rip it to shreds. That's what they're going to do. Because yeah, I should really be thankful, but this is too hard. Right? This is really hard to go through. Okay? Not denying it. Not denying it. But, of course, there's always a but. And that is perspective. You got to think in bigger terms, in the bigger scheme of things. That's what you got to do. Am I going to say it's going to make everything disappear? A lot of it should go by the wayside. Because the bottom line is God's in control. We're not in control. And that we have to realize. Then a person has a good equilibrium. Why? Because like I say, whatever you're going through, God, okay. You'll take care of it. You're in charge. You put it all on him. You lay it on the line. You put it all on him. Then don't worry about it. You say, okay, you'll deal with it. You know. Had something today. Whatever it was. I said, okay. You know, let's, I had a whole plan. Okay, I'm going to do this, do that. You know, still waiting, on other things. And it got taken care of. Right? I was hoping it would get taken care of. It got taken care of. I didn't have to do anything I didn't necessarily want to do. It got taken care of by itself. I mean, there was a whole thing going on, whatever, but I got taken care of. So my bottom line was, okay, what can I do? It's out of my hands. I did what I could do. God, you're in charge. Take this away, deal with it. It's your issue. I did what I could do. Are there going to be could there be other repercussions? Sure. What are you going to do? Can't do anything about it. Finished. I mean, you did what you had to do. So it was like a time game. When's it going to happen? Should happen before God didn't want. Okay. Right? So what do? You wait. And at that time, when God wants it to happen, it'll happen. So I was pleasantly surprised. Right? It was literally probably about a half an hour before I put, I was planning on plan B. Okay, so I'll do this, I'll do that. And, whatever, do what I need to do. Right? What happened? Didn't need to. Got taken care of. Was I expecting it to be taken care of? No. Yeah, I thought it would be, but you don't know. Things take time. Whatever. But that's the attitude. I would have done what I needed to do. Would have been inconvenient. Okay. I had to do it before. Fine. It's not being inconvenienced. What can I do? So what happened? God's okay. I'm not going to inconvenience you today. Not going to inconvenience you. Thank you very much. Don't have to get inconvenienced. I think definitely have to show greater appreciation. Right? When I go pray tonight, remind myself, of that. But he took care of it. Totally took care of it. Was I expecting it? No. I think it's going to take another few days. Maybe beginning of next week. I mean, thing lapsed on. Should have taken that long. But okay. That's what it is. That's what it is. And it's going to be a domino effect. It's going to be a domino effect. Didn't happen. Was it annoying? Yeah. Whose fault was it? Mine. Okay. Pay the price. Hope you learn the lesson. You move on. It's perspective. Did I curse? No. Was I aggravated? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Told someone I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. Fine. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. So I would have taken care of it. I had a whole plan what I was going to do. It would have been inconvenient, but okay. I would have done it. What happened? Got done for me. So it made my life easier. Yeah, but you had to go through this whole thing. You're right. It was annoying. Yeah. Did it to myself. Yeah. Okay. Hope I learned the lesson next time around. But what's the mantra we always say? You're the one in charge. God, you're the one in charge. So, did I break out in a sweat? What's going to be this? No. I said, I'll do what I can do. I would have fixed out the problem. Would have been like putting a small Band-Aid on it, but okay. Would have fixed it up, would have taken care of business, and that's it. And what happened? God took care of it, finished. My pleasant surprise. Thought it would have happened a few days ago. Okay. It happened today. Was I expecting it? No. I already checked certain things. Okay. It's not meant to be. Okay. Something I checked earlier didn't happen. So I said, okay, humor me. But I'll check again just before I have to turn myself into a prince a little bit. So let me check again. All of a sudden, boom, done. I always say when you least expect it. When you least expect it. That's when God wants it. When he wants it. When he thinks you're ready to take it. Not what we think. Definitely not what we think. Yeah, somebody asks, what if you used to take charity from someone because you feel bad about it? Guess what? If you need it, take it. If someone can help you, they're willing to help you, take it. What's the alternative? I'll tell you what the alternative is. You're stuck. You feel stuck. You got no help. People would rather give than take. I get it. Been on both sides. Much better to give than to take. But if you have to take, it can save you in many ways. So the question is, person refuses to take, person can say, no, I don't want to do it. People are very proud. I get it. But the question is, it depends what it is. Depends how desperate the situation is. If someone can bail you out for something, I'll give an example. He just got a call from the electric company. Electric company says, you got 24 hours or better. You got 48 hours. 48 hours, you don't pay this bill, we're going to cut you off. Yeah. So somebody knows the situation or whatever the case is. Someone offers to help and bail them out. Now, a person can say, no, it's embarrassing. I don't want to do it. Okay. So what happens? They get the electricity cut off. Not fun to be without electricity. Things can go bad. Right? It's costing money. But a person can say, no, but I don't really want to take. Okay. So then what do? It's worth it to get the electricity cut off. Someone's willing to help, but you don't want to take it. I understand why people wouldn't. It's embarrassing. I get it. Makes perfect sense. They don't want to help. They want to make it on their own. Okay, sometimes we struggle. Sometimes we struggle really badly. If someone comes in and they offer to help, or even worse, you ask for help. They offer to help. It's embarrassing. I get it. So it depends what it is. If a person can live without certain things they don't want to take, it's their choice. If it's something crucial, they're going to cut off, water's going to get cut off. Something else is going to get cut off. But they refuse to take help. So my opinion, for what it's worth, the person's a fool. Take the help. If you can pay it back over time or whatever, or a person says, here, just, I can help you, just let me help you and whatever. But why don't people want to take help in general? Because then they feel they're obligated to the other person. Then they feel now they owe the other person. I understand. I definitely understand that. At the same time, if you're really desperate, you take. If someone's willing to help. Now, again, it depends what the price is. If the person says, oh, I'll help you with this, you do this, that, and the other thing that are forbidden, no, it's a different issue. If it's just an issue a person feels too proud to take, makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense why they wouldn't want to. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you just get stuck. I had something, it was my own fault. It was my own fault that, I had to pay something. I don't have an Israeli credit card. They don't take an American credit card. So I'm stuck. I had the money for it. Right? But whatever, I was stuck. And then I realized you could have paid it a different way. It could have, first of all, had to be paid, had to be paid through, if it's going to be a credit card, with my name on it or my wife's name on it. Right? So it can't be someone else's credit card. So you can't do that. Okay. But there was another way. There was other ways to do it, which, I didn't really read the fine print what to do. That I could have done it another way. Okay. But, in such a case, let's say they didn't have the money. Right. So what do you do if you don't have the money? Something desperate has to be paid. You try and find someone who's got the money to do it. Why don't you want to do that? In general, you got to pay it back, most likely, or it's embarrassing. You're right. But if it's a choice of either paying it or getting things cut off or other things, you may feel bad, but I would say, if someone's willing to help you take it. It depends, it depends what would be the condition also. If a person makes crazy conditions or forbidden conditions, then then you wouldn't be allowed to. That would be forbidden. But, let's say someone says, okay, I'll pay this for you, but I want 15% interest. If it's a Jew, you can't do that. You're not allowed to charge. You're not allowed to lend money with interest. Non-Jew would be a different issue. But if it was a Jew, you can't do it. Says I'm willing to help. I just want 15%. 15% plus back. So you say, thank you very much. Can't do it. Or anything else that's forbidden that you can't do, whatever it is. But if someone offers help, again, it depends what it is. If it's something the person really needs and it's crucial, then I would say, even if you don't want that help, you should probably take it. It comes at a price. I get it. Definitely comes at a price. Especially, let's say it's a family member that helps. Comes at a price. Because they're going to say, look what I did for you. Right? And they rub it in your face. Or, whatever. They make you feel already worse than you are. I can tell you, I've been, whatever. Definitely felt it. And I told somebody once, actually, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about money per se. But they made a statement, whatever, pretty nasty statement. And I told them, I said, listen, you never kick somebody when they're down. It wasn't something they were helping with. But they made a statement, a pretty nasty statement. So a person like that, you want to ask help for? No. Like, if I'd be down to my last loaf of bread, maybe. No, of course, because, you feel obligated. You feel totally obligated. It's a terrible position to be in. Terrible position to be in. Because now you feel they owe you. Or you owe them, but you feel bad. Listen, if someone's willing to do it, right? If somebody's willing to do it, it's a whole other thing. But if someone's doing it with conditions and they're doing it because, they're not doing it with a full heart. And then you feel like a piece of dirt in the process. They don't get the mitzvah. Let's understand. They're like, fine, I'll help you this time. Never going to help you again. And this is the way it is. And I shouldn't have to do this. So don't help. God runs the world. But someone who does something like that and they do help, what's it worth? You're supposed to give with a smiley face. Someone needs help and you can help them. You don't give charity with the sour face. You don't get credit for doing that, the Rambam says. You got to give with that, willingly. Not because you feel obligated. And you got to do it with a smile. Whenever I can give, I'm always reminded. If I can give, I can give. And it's better to give than have to receive. Better to be on this side than the other side. No question. But if a person has to take, they should take. It's not nice. It's not good. You feel indebted. I get it. But again, it depends what it is. If it be something crucial, pay a bill, otherwise you're going to get cut off, take it. Depending what the conditions are. If they say, here, I'm here to help you, whatever, they make it very easy, fine. Whatever, if they're going to make all kinds of crazy conditions, make you feel like a piece of dirt, or if they try and find someone else. But if they're doing it from the, and they're genuine, from the bottom of their heart, and they want to help, so you should take, right? So the question is, if you refuse to take, depends what it is. Again, if it's something, you're going to get your electricity cut off, you don't take this person's money, to help you. And then they cut it off. Now you're sitting in the dark and it's freezing and food is going to spoil. God can say, I brought someone to help you. Why aren't you taking the help? And God can say, I sent this person and you reacted the wrong way. I'm not saying we should live on charity. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying if a person needs it, if a person's stuck. I just got this question. I got this question earlier about conversion. And I'll just throw this out there, about fees. Based-in fees. I don't know how much based-in charges. Some more, some less. I just had someone convert yesterday, 2 days ago in Miami. So they had to pay, I don't know, they paid $400 more, for the based-in to convert. Actually, I think it was less, a little bit less. It was like $350, whatever it was, they had to pay. I went to a based-in area with someone. They threw out a certain amount. They said, whatever you can pay. So some are more flexible, some less flexible, right? But someone asked, and it comes up more than once. It's come up a number of times. It's basically, will they, will all these fees be put aside? In other words, the base didn't waive all the fees. I understand people in hard positions, in difficult positions. So it could be they'll waive some of them. I don't know if they'll waive all of them. I don't know exactly. Right? But at the end of the day, I said one thing for sure, you're going to have to move into this Jewish community. And what are you going to do about Passover? Passover, everything's 3 times the price. What are you going to do? You got to send kids to school. Tuition is a lot. So if tuition's a lot, what are you going to do? You're going to say, well, I'm not going to send my kids to school. I'm going to homeschool? No. Not allowed to homeschool. You got to mainstream. So I asked them, one of the things the base that wants to see is a person who's self-sufficient. Doesn't mean they're making a ton of money, but we don't want people coming to our community sponging off of us. Now, I got a lot of flack for that. And I'll clarify the statement, meaning base that wants to see a person self-sufficient. We're not going to help people move into a Jewish community. Now, someone mentioned a few weeks back, they said it'd be a good thing, if there'd be like a fund or people or whatever to help non-Jews in the process can't afford it. I agree. 100%. One of the things, I'll work on. Something like that. You got to vet the people, make sure they're 100% serious and what their situation is and, all that, because you don't want to just give money away for nothing. But at the same time, realize, and non-Jews have a difficulty with this. I have a major difficulty with this. And again, I've been slaughtered for this. But I'm going to say it anyway. And that is, why is it our responsibility, Jewish people's responsibility, to help a non-Jew, move, into a community? Why is that our responsibility? I had someone curse me out and say, I got references and I'm serious and all this and all that, and I've done this and I've done that. And you owe us. You owe us, the Jewish people. We owe you to help everything, pay for every last thing to move. Who says that's my responsibility? Because let's say Jewish people open up their pockets, and all these non-Jews that couldn't convert or had difficulty moving. You don't think there's going to be a line down the block? They say Jews are so giving. They're so giving. They helped me move. They bought me furniture. They, I know students of mine that converted, they went cross country to convert. The rabbinical court wasn't great where they were. And the second they converted, they had money, the husband didn't have money for tefillin. They organized money. They organized tefillin for them, right? And other things. Okay. That's after the fact. But before that, yeah, they had to move to a Jewish community. They were struggling. They were struggling for a long time. I mean, things I think are better now, but whatever it was, a rabbinical court wants to see a person self-sufficient. Now, that doesn't mean if they struggle down the line, they're not going to get helped or whatever. But why is that at the beginning? Why is that our responsibility? In other words, why, word can spread like wildfire. Oh, look, the Jews do this, Jews do that. That's not just pushing someone aside, right? Make no mistake, that's not just saying, oh, look, we don't care about non-Jews. They can all drop dead. Doesn't matter. We don't want to help them. They can help themselves also. But what do you do? And this comes up a lot also. What do you do? Someone only gets Social Security. Someone's on disability. So what do you do? Again, if someone would raise a lot of money for non-Jews to help them and they get vetted, whatever, it's one thing. But who's going to, which Jews are going to put money down unless they're a convert about tshuva or whatever, that they want to help non-Jews? We're going to look out for our own first. Yeah, but they're serious. Okay. Right? I'm not saying not. I'm not saying I don't have empathy. I know somebody who's basically on disability, and they saved and this and that. They moved across the country, literally across the country, and they took 5 or 6 road trips to move their stuff because they couldn't afford it. You know what that's like? Driving through snowstorms. I mean, crazy thing. Driving 3,500 miles, more. But doing it 5, 6 times to move their house or apartment. They did it. End up taking them 3.5? They were in my classes, 3 years? 3.5 years or more. And they finally moved to a community, about a year later, give or take, they finally converted. But that's unbelievable self-sacrifice. They were on disability, still on disability. I mean, they're not whistling Dixie by any stretch. They also struggle. But they did it. And they didn't do it with help from the Jewish community. Jewish community didn't pay their gas bill going back and forth. I mean, they don't have an electric car either. Not that I'm aware of. You know what that is? Going like 20,000 miles back and forth. Just the driving, the gas, the schlepping of all the stuff. I think they did it at least half a dozen times. And then they ended up moving twice in the community, whatever it was. Right? But they didn't go to the Jewish community ask for help. They scrimmed and saved and this. So you can say, but I make a lot less. Okay. I'm not saying not. I'm not saying people don't have difficulties. But why is that our responsibility? I've heard this a number of times. I'm not singling anybody out. I've heard a number of times. Right? And I get it. If it's a choice paying electric bill or paying me, I know where the money's going. Right? Okay. Right? But for someone to say, I want everything waived, and then I'll be able to do it. Okay, I don't know their situation. At least not yet. But they're claiming, I want everything waived, otherwise I can't convert. What are you going to do about tuition for your kids? What are you going to do about kosher food for Passover? You want that waived? What are you going to do? Got to eat matzah. Matzah's not cheap. Depends what type of matzah you get. Right, what are you going to do? Eat fruits and vegetables? Yeah, you have to have matzah. Right? At least the first 2 nights. You have to have matzah. All right, you don't have to buy the most expensive. What I'm saying, mitzvahs cost geld. Mitzvahs cost money. So people say, I can't move. And it's okay. Not everyone's meant to convert. But if someone deep down is really going to do it, they'll do it somehow. Somehow they'll do it. Or they won't. And they won't be able to. Right? I know of a number of cases now. People in dire straits. And they can't move. Or the community doesn't want them. Or whatever the case is. It's very hard. It's very frustrating. I totally understand. But you're never going to be a Jew if you don't live amongst Jews. People understand that. They definitely understand that. But then I've been doing this, and like I'm stuck in a revolving door. Right? It's kind of like a bad Freddy Krueger movie. You're stuck in the dream over and over and over. And the dream doesn't change. Okay? Right? So I'm going to go out on a limb here, because we are recording. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say some people are just not meant to convert. For that reason. Their financial situation can be so bad they can't do it. I'm not talking about spouse issues, family issues, other things. Major issue when it comes to conversion is money. It's a major issue. And when it comes to Jews and being a Jew, money's a major issue. Again, educating kids, food, living in the community, holidays, a lot of things. A lot of things. Someone really wants it bad enough, God will make it happen. It'll happen. And if not, so they don't convert. Right? They don't end up converting. Not the end of the world. Right? Plenty of what to learn as a non-Jew. But yeah, people will say, come on. I've been doing this for so many years. I know someone, 10 years. 10 years in the process. What's the main factor holding them back? The main factor is money. Because they don't make a lot of money where they are. They can't move. They're stuck. Or even if they could move, certain places where they would move, places are dangerous. They're dangerous to live in. So what do? I don't have any good answers. One thing, I think is a good idea, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And, and that is money should be raised to help these people. I agree. To raise money for non-Jews in the Jewish community, no offense, you'll tell me it's discrimination. It ain't coming. It's only going to come by people who believe in the cause, who are converts that have money that can help, or, about tshuva, who understands the situation. Someone who grew up as a secular Jew became religious. It's the only way it's going to happen. Or someone who is, an FFB, is from birth, is religious from birth. They, for whatever reason, they have a soft spot for this. But everyone else in the community, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Wait, non-Jews? We don't need non-Jews. We're not looking for converts. We're not interested in converts. We have to help our own. True? 90% of world Jewry doesn't know Aleph-based. So why don't we work with them? Help them. Learn with them, many things. The people say, well, that's discrimination. I'm disgusted. Okay. We look out for our own. I'm not saying this is not a good idea. You need a committee to vet people to, make sure 100% they're the real deal. Not just trying to, I'm not even talking about missionizing. Not just trying to use us to help themselves. Right? Again, someone got really offended. I said that. Very good at offending people, I guess. Right? But at the end of the day, it's true. It's just, it's true. There are a lot of people that maybe serious. I get contacted with a lot of people in the Philippines. Philippines, people don't make a lot of money. There are only certain places they could move, right? That has a Jewish community, but also they don't do conversion there. Stop doing conversion there. But even if they would be, a lot of these people too poor, they can't move. What do? Or other places. And I'm saying if these people are legit, let's say these people are 100% the real deal. Well, what are we supposed to do? What in the world are we supposed to do? They have to be able to do things on their own. And if they can't convert. We should be out there raising money for non-Jews to convert. Who says? Who says that's our job? And again, raising money, they're going to raise money for Jews first. That would be the norm. That would make sense. But I would say, even with all that, yeah, there are a lot of orphans. There are a lot of widows that need help, and kids going off need help, and other things, schools need, it's all true. There are a lot of needs. Sick people, injured people, all kinds of things. There are a lot of needs. I agree. 100%. But being involved in this last 15 years, there's also a need to help non-Jews in the process of conversion. 100%. I don't think too many people would disagree, but they would say it's not a priority. They would say it's not a priority. It's not going to be in the top 5. Probably not even the top 10. And I would think not that way. Why would I think not that way? Because, if people, if that's the only thing holding them back, and they show 100%, self-sacrifice, they should be helped. But where's the money going to come from? The community's not going to raise it. Fortunate or not, they're not going to raise it. They don't see it as top priority. And people say that's not right. Okay. I'm telling you what the reality is. So there are people going to spend their wills because they don't have money. Okay. What can we do? So it could be God squeezing them for whatever reason. And who says they have to convert? Yeah, I got the passion. I'm living for it. I'm doing this. Okay. Bottom line is, where's the money coming from? And they can't do it. And that's what's stopping them. By some people. So I think that's tragic. But, if I had all the money I had that was lost, and it would come back, I would, set up money aside to help people. Not in the cards at the moment. Never know what the future's going to bring. People can pray for that for me. But at the end of the day, a rabbinical court wants to see a person self-sufficient. And that's not our responsibility. Now, I'll give you one proof. Sat in the rabbinical court, my Rebbe once. I was there once for 5 years, one day a week for 5 years. Well, before I got involved with conversion, the guy comes in with the sun dress, black hat, long coat, the whole 9 yards. And the person been in Europe for 10 years. 10 years going from community to community, not working. And basically taking charity. So the Rebbe said, first of all, they didn't like what they answered, why they want to convert, but Rebbe said to me afterwards, this person's going to be a burden to us. He's going to be a burden to the Jewish people. You're not working, not going to work. Not a question about mental illness or other. He's not going to work. He's going to go from community to community. And that's how he's going to live. Okay? They make that choice. That's their choice. Whatever. But who says that's our responsibility? We got enough. We got plenty of cases. Plenty of charity cases. Legitimate charity cases. Here's someone coming along. Why should we help them? They're not helping themselves. If a person helps themselves, they do what they can do. Okay. Then when a person falls in hard times, they should be helped. I agree. But who says at the very beginning that's our obligation? Then everyone's going to join. Oh, look, the Jewish community opened the doors. They did this, they did that. Don't they say, no, it's not true. People won't do that. I beg to differ. People in dire straits, they'll put on the garb. They'll do whatever they need to do because they're being helped. That's a concern. That is an absolute concern. So we'll say, let the non-Jews help the non-Jews. And we'll help our own. But I would agree that people should be helped. Right? If they, the question is, who's going to do it? Who's going to be out there raising the money? It's going to be a very hard thing. Very, very hard thing to do. Not going to say impossible, but very, very difficult. You got to find people in the same situation, believe in the cause, that want to help it. That's what you need. And I always say, if a non-Jew had money, why would they convert? Or if a secular Jew had money, why would they become religious? It's a good question. What do I need God for? I got plenty of money. Yeah. So most people that want to convert in general are not loaded. They're not loaded, by any stretch. If they are, they should speak to me. I got a lot of projects I want to work on, right? But they're not. That's the reality. I'm not saying they're downright poor. You have anywhere in between. Other people doing better, people doing worse, people dire straits, all across the board. Not easy in any situation, okay? But person that's trying to help themselves as much as they can. But again, it's like walking down a dead end street. What do you do? What do you do when you walk down a dead end street? You go nowhere. Can't go anywhere. Some people in situations are stuck. True. How do they get unstuck? Some people get stuck there for a long time. And maybe something changes in the end. Maybe it doesn't. Yeah. So again, what should we do? What can we do? And it's not about, the Jews are biased, discrimination. Every single group would be the same way. Why are we going to look outside the group? We'll help our own first. It's not discrimination. You wouldn't say that about anyone else, except the fact that you want to do this, and you're going to come to us and say, oh, you're doing it, you're discriminating. Everybody would. Christians would, the Muslims would, the Hindus would. You think they're going to help other people outside their own? Maybe, but not so much. I don't believe so much. They're going to go for their own. We're no different. But of course, someone's going to say, you're the chosen nation. You're held to a higher standard. Yeah, we are. True. But again, who says that's our obligation? Right? That's what I would say. Torah says you do the best you can, and we contribute to the Jewish community no matter what. Okay. But again, it starts with the person themselves. It doesn't start with you owe me, because there are people who have a chip on their shoulder, and they say we have the obligation to do whatever it takes to help them. Again, you wouldn't say that by the Muslims. Person wants to convert to Christianity. You're gonna tell them you owe me? They'll say, yeah. They'll say, we want to convert you. So we'll help you, but they have ulterior motive. Muslims are gonna help? Come on. I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. And again, somebody points out, some aren't willing to do without temporary comforts or luxuries. I'm not even talking about that. There are people that'll scale down because they want to do it. Okay. I know people have done it. They definitely did it. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about where a person's on a fixed income. But on a fixed income is much more difficult. There's no question. Not about not living with luxuries. Yeah, you could eat less, spend less. You could cut corners different. Okay. No question. But what if all that doesn't work? What if you don't even have the bare necessities? Less than the bare necessities. That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about cutting down with luxuries. People do that. But you're right. Some people may want, they may not want. I get it. Right? Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Why someone would do that? They believe in what they're doing and they'll do what it takes. But for some people, that doesn't help. Some people, they're in a much worse situation. Right? I know a bunch of people like that, much worse situation. That doesn't help. So that makes it much more difficult. So therefore, people will say, and I've heard this a number of times, when you move in the Jewish community, it's cost prohibitive. You want to move in, close the synagogue, going to cost you a lot. It's going to cost, true, right? I had someone very, very serious, retired basically, looked at a bunch of Jewish communities, couldn't move. It was not cost efficient. It was cost prohibitive. So they learn as much as they do, and that's it. Their situation is not going to change. I mean, at least at the moment. I mean, even in the future, it looks like, according to nature, it's never going to change. They're just, the house isn't worth as much. They're basically retired. The rent will kill them, and what can they do? So they came to the conclusion, can't do it. It's impossible to do. Could something change? God can do anything, but guess what? What if the situation doesn't change? Next 20 years, nothing changed. So what are they supposed to do? They won't convert. It's not the end of the world. They can't convert. That's an onus. They can't move. It's not their fault. Their house isn't worth as much. So what can they do? They're in a no-win situation. So what? Do you think God's going to punish them because they couldn't convert? No, they're stuck. They are 100% stuck. There are people like that. Okay. So be the best non-Jew you can be, and you still have a portion of the world to come. Yeah, but it's burning inside me, and it's so, it's hard. Okay. Again, even if a person comes to the conclusion this is what they should do, and they're burning with fire because that's what they believe, sometimes it just doesn't work out. I say, why does God do that? Not for me to answer. You do it for any number of reasons, right? But at the end of the day, he doesn't want that person to be able to move. Is it their fault? Not their fault. Are they going to be punished for it? No. They'll only be punished for what they don't keep in the no-hide laws. That's it. Everything else, they're good. But I do understand they feel bad. They want to do more. They, whatever the case is. Okay. But at the end of the day, physically speaking, they can't move. So God's going to cut them a lot of slack because they've done everything they can do. They looked at all these different communities. They did the research. They crushed the numbers. Didn't work. So what are they supposed to do? You say, let them convert where they live. Can't do that. You got to live amongst Jews, period. You can't live amongst Jews. The Rambam says in the Laws of Repentance, one of the 24 things that separates a person from proper repentance is what? Separating from the community. You got to tell me it's on the Torah, it's on the Talmud, whatever, but you want to be a Jew, you got to live amongst Jews. That's it. But why are prices so expensive? Because they are. That's what it is. Like here in Israel, a person wants to live, far out of Jerusalem and other places, prices are cheaper. True. Prices are crazy. Live in a war zone, quote unquote, prices going through the roof. Through the roof. Where I live in the last 10 years, prices have jumped 3 times. 3 times more of the value, or what they claim the value is. That's insanity. People can ask whatever they want. Doesn't mean that's what it's worth. People asking astronomical numbers that you're going to say, forget it. Things won't sell, and that's what's happening. You have to drop the prices. But that's insanity. It's supply and demand. Insanity. So if I had the money, I wouldn't break the bank either. I pay market value, whatever market value is. I'm not going to break the bank. If I had the money, that breaks, because then the prices go haywire. It's all right. You kill the market. But, it's also insane. So what do you do? A lot of people are never going to be able to afford a down payment. And in religious areas, unless they go far out of Jerusalem. And they live like up north in place where it's cheaper. Okay. Who wants to live, 3 hours away from family, but at least they own their place. Okay. That's what people are doing. Or they're putting themselves ridiculously in debt. Have the kids live near them. Someone then said, father died, and then they got, what their inheritance was? $350,000 of debt. That's what they inherited. Who says you have to put yourself in debt for that? But I get it. It's definitely better to own than to rent. But if you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. So yeah, prices through the roof. So what are you going to do? Someone asked me this recently. About this whole thing about moving and it's not fair and this and that. So I asked them, what would you do if you didn't have enough money to put down as down payment? What would you do? I said, you know what you would do? You do what I do. You rent. That's what you do. You have no choice, right? You don't have help. You know, you don't have all this money to put aside, to put down. What are you going to do? Like here in Israel, you're going to put at least 25, 30% down, right? So what are you going to do? So I said, you rent. Is it pleasant to rent? No, especially if you've ever owned. I can tell you. Yeah. And prices go up 3 times the price. Okay, what are you going to do? You're stuck. You're 100% stuck. Who likes paying rent? Nobody. Why? Who wants to pay rent? You know, if you could own. So that was my answer. Yeah, it's not fair, it's not this. Yeah, what would you do about buying a place? Oh, I can't. I'd have to rent. Thank you very much. And I'd rent. And you'd rent. That's it. Case closed. Checkmate. You rent. You have no choice. Money's not falling from heaven. You're not picking it off trees. Right? It's unpleasant. It's a waste. It goes in the garbage because you don't have anything of your own. You don't have equity. You know, total waste. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do? Someone there points out God might or will open a way later. Could be. Could very well be. Right? I've had open miracles recently. You know, in the last number of months. You know, trying to work my way to buy a place. We'll see. Not there yet. Definitely not there yet, but you know, I'm closer than I've ever been. So I'm gonna try and make it happen. What happens if it doesn't? So it doesn't. But can God open doors? I agree. He could. You know, he definitely could. Shuas Hashem, Garabai. Salvation of God can come with the blink of an eye. Right? So I've been in 3 places that each owner sold. My luck. My luck. Okay. So I said, okay, it's crazy. Why'd you have to move again? You know, not own, but, you know, down payment. So I've had miracles happen. I'm not there yet. Right? I'm not telling the story yet. I'm not there yet. We'll see how it goes. Right? But, you know, I thank the person for selling the apartment because then it opened other doors. You know, not wide open. Not, like I said, not there yet, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I still have a number of months. You know, we'll see. You know, we'll see how it goes. God runs the world. You know, things can change the blink of an eyelash. So things have changed to a point where, you know, it's been unbelievable, but I'm not where I need to be yet. Okay, so someone asked me this the other day, so what's going to be? I said, I don't know. God hasn't told me his plan yet. I'm still waiting to hear the plan. He hasn't whispered it yet. Okay, so, you know, but at the same time, it's really unbelievable. You know, am I where I should be now? No, not yet, but we'll see. Someone asks, is there any most effective way to deal with depression? I don't think anything works so fast. No, I don't have any easy answers. I would say, someone says a sign of unholiness. Depression could be something that is, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so you can take what I say with a grain of salt. You know, sometimes it's a hormone imbalance. Could be something to do with hormones. You know, but, you know, not just hormones. But at the same time, I believe beyond the shadow of a doubt, without knowing anything. So again, you can take what I say with a grain of salt. And that is that 80%, I would say, maybe too high a percentage. If a person had a proper outlook in life and how the world works, according to Torah, according to Jewish outlook, then that can take away a lot of the problem. Not the whole problem. Not the whole problem, because there are things that, you know, dependent on the body, you know, and other things. You know, it could be hormones, it could be many other things as well. It could be a whole combination of things, right? So a person, you know, could need medication. A person could need, you know, therapy, and both, you know, both together at the same time. If a person would have a proper outlook on the world and how God runs the world and what our purpose is, I'm not going to say it's all going to go away because I don't believe it. Torah's not going to cure everything. I would say, though, 80% it might be too high. But I think 80% of it could be taken care of with a proper outlook. You might need therapy and other things, but, I wouldn't say it's a sign of unholiness per se. I think what, and a person, it can be legit what they're depressed about. It can be any number, many, many things. Many, many things, and how we cope. And some things, you cannot, Torah cannot will it. You cannot will it to get over to the other side, to get over the hump, and it disappears. Not 100%. I believe, and again, I could be totally wrong, but I do believe a proper outlook. I'm not going to say everything because people go through trauma, so I can't say that. I wouldn't say that. But I would say 80%, if a person has the proper outlook, I think the other 20% can be dealt with. And the person can overcome it. Right? Again, certain things can be treated, a person has, an imbalance or something like that. That can be helped. A person can, have total mood swings, different things, the things trigger them. Musar helps a lot. Meditation helps. Clearing your mind helps. But the proper outlook and the way we see things, I think in a major way can help. In a major way. Is it going to overcome everything? No. I don't believe, no. I will say in certain things, in certain things I've seen that a perspective can change when a person's willing to open their mind to it. The Kotzker Rebbe of blessed memory, someone asked him, whatever, a big rabbinic scholar. Someone asked him, where's God? Where's God? So what was his answer? God is wherever you let him in. Now you're going to say, wow, nice answer. Nice philosophical answer. Wherever you let him in. Guess what? If you tap in properly and you understand, again, read Derech Hashem, the way of God, you understand how the world works, what's the purpose of man, how the evil inclination works, all these things, no matter what anybody says, family, parents, children, siblings, they can be all off their rocker. They can be all nuts, and insane according to Torah. And you know what? And if they say something and they curse you out and they say, Jews, I hate Jews, and, you're too fanatic and this and that, you know what you say? You go, bink. What does bink mean? Bink means you're insane. You deserve to be put in a straitjacket and put in Sing Sing, right? Put in an insane asylum. That's what they do. They totally blaspheme against God. And these people have like a 25 IQ. They have a 25 IQ. I'm not going to take one thing they say serious, but someone's going to say, but what they say is painful. You know what? I learned over the years, even if they say something that's painful, I'm able to go like this, bink. You know why? Something opened up in my head. What opened up? What opened up is I took this musar. This great rabbi once told me, I took this musar and I put it into effect. Really into effect, where what a person says, I'm like Teflon. Go ahead. Give me your best shot. And their best shot's not going to do anything. Not going to do anything. Why is it not going to do anything? Because my mind's already programmed to say, you don't have anything to say over here. You're like a 2-year-old. Less than a 2-year-old. So I'm not going to take what you say seriously at all. It's annoying, okay? I'm not going to get that annoyed. Like I mentioned in the last Q&A, or whatever, I mentioned many times. Some of this, when I got locked in the bathroom, I said, yeah, I couldn't pray in the bathroom because I'm in the bathroom. Right? So is that one of the rules? No, an obnoxious thing to say. That one of the rules? My answer was, yeah, it's one of the rules. Deal with it. It's one of the rules. That was it. Bink. I'm going to let the person get under my skin? For what? I'm not going to let them get under my skin. Not at all. Not worth it. We're going to say, isn't what they said painful? Again, they have an IQ in Torah like a 2-year-old. I'm going to let them get under my skin? For what? right? I'll even get to the point where it doesn't even annoy me. I'll just use it for one of my classes. Not going to annoy me. Why am I going to get annoyed? A person's an idiot. I don't care if it's a sibling. I don't care if it's a child. I don't care if it's a parent. It's annoying. You got to show respect to parents to a certain extent. Don't have to honor them if they're evil. You have to show a certain level of respect. Say, I hate Jews. Okay. So you hate Jews. Good. Oh, they're disgusting. They smell. But you want to take a Louisville slug and you want to smack them upside the head. Yeah. I don't disagree. But you know what? So what? Let them talk. Let them talk. You know, I've heard people say all kinds of things. I'm not letting it get under my skin. I don't care who it is. Because I'm looking at them like they're a 2-year-old in diapers. You're going to take someone, a 2-year-old in diapers? You know, and they, and they're going to be like crawling around saying, oh, Jews are this, Jews are that. Come on. You can't even make on the toilet, for goodness sakes. When you learn how to make on the toilet, call me. That's what they are. You know, I've had people say disgusting things. Years ago, I would have said, oh, what do you mean? This, that. I don't even lose sleep. Not one iota of sleep. The person's not worth losing sleep about. Again, doesn't matter who they are. Okay, if they're a parent, doesn't matter. You know, but they're anti-Semites. They could be, so. But it's painful. Move on. Move on. That's what you have to do. What they say doesn't matter. It took me a long time. Trust me. A long time. And something just snapped in my head. You know what snapped in my head? I listened to what I said. I always tell my wife, if I'd listen to half the things I'd say, I'd be different. But one thing, I don't know. Something overnight snapped in my head. Because now everything all of a sudden somehow clicked. That's it. God allowed me to open my mind to be able to hear it, to be able to absorb it, to be able to live it. So now, anyone's going to make, any comments? Or do I care what they say? No matter what they say. No matter how painful it may sound. They're idiots. I'm not going to listen to someone who's retarded. Sorry. I'm not going to be politically correct. They're mentally challenged. I'm not going to listen to someone who's mentally challenged. Why would, had someone tell me, oh, I never let them go to Israel and be brainwashed like you. Or, lose one to them. They're like Israel. I mean, not necessarily becoming religious. One ear out the other. Okay. They made it very clear. And someone get in my face years ago. Person's a vet. Right? Takes care of horses, dogs, other animals, whatever. Looked at me straight in the face. I had 5 kids at the time. Or 6 kids at the time. Whatever it was. Sorry, 6. So the person said, I have 1 child. 1 child's enough. He said, you're nuts for having more kids. Not only they said that, they said, I like animals better than kids. I had 6 kids. My oldest one at the time was, let's say 15 years ago, was there, whatever, like 14, 15. And my youngest was like a baby, 2, 3, whatever. You imagine, like, you live for your kids. Shabbos, your festivals, this, that, this. I like animals better than I love kids. You're not for having so many kids. What do you say to that? Say anything. Wait, what am I going to say? You're a fruitcake? I mean, should have. That's a crazy thing to say. I love animals better than my kids. I heard someone say an act or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Right? This Jewish guy says, I want kids. Why would I want kids for? There's no connection to reality. None. Even though kids give us a lot of problems, a lot of pain. Okay? Gives a lot of pleasure also. In many ways. But that's not really the point here. The point is someone makes such a statement. My first thought is like, you're a fruitcake. But they never embarrassment. They said it straight to my face. Straight to my face. I can't believe you have so many kids. How can you have so many kids? I like animals better than kids. Okay. So basically you're saying, I don't like what you do. You're a fruitcake. Whatever. I got to get under my skin? No, it's good, it's good for people to hear. Could I have said a lot of things? I could have, many things. Most people would know I don't hold my tongue back. I'll say something when I need to say something. Move on. Right? If somebody, I don't want to, be brainwashed like you. Didn't say exactly that language. That's called a fanatic, other things. Person still loves me, whatever, but they think I'm nuts. Okay. And they're not afraid to say it. So I expected it. So, okay, what am I going to do? That person's the only person I met that was alive. Still feisty. Right? Alive at the age of 95. Everyone else brain dead. Brain dead. Okay, the person was alive. It was good. Had actually somewhat of a real conversation. Everyone else is all about fluff. And that's what the world is, fluff. So, did I get upset by it? No. Could have. But, I know where it comes from. But whatever. I asked what I asked, put them in their place a little bit, and, very nicely. Just to show that they, they don't really know that much. And someone, like this person said, it's in my heart, it's what I believe. So I said, well, you have any sources for that? You have anything, you want to give me, any source? It's that's what I believe. And I would never do this, that. Okay. I didn't have to answer that. There wasn't a question, it was an agenda. It was a total agenda, right? But if someone says, I believe that in my heart, and you go to hell. Okay. So go to hell. And you can be a fanatic. Okay, so I'll be a fanatic. When someone says that's what I believe in my heart, doesn't mean anything. Because I'm based on anything. Show me a source, a medrash, a gemara, something. You can say, wow, you got some tough people in your family sometimes. Sometimes. Most people are not that hostile. Okay, this person's alive. Everyone else doesn't matter. Just dead. They're brain dead. Somebody asked, we need to be able to read from a Sefer Torah at some point. No. Who says the convert, especially a guy, needs to read from a Sefer Torah? I mean, you could learn. You could definitely learn, but no rabbinical court's asking you to learn how to read from a Sefer Torah. You're going to have to learn. If a person really learns how to learn, you're going to have to learn things without vowels. That's true. That is true. But you don't have to read from a Sefer Torah, right? I want to take maybe to read Hebrew with vowels, able to read without. It takes time. It takes time. First thing I had to learn was, if you learn Gemara and you see Rashi and Tosfos, it's Rashi script, whole different script. Doesn't take that long to learn, but you have to learn it. So a lot of books, commentaries on the Torah, or not all, but and commentaries on the Talmud or whatever. Some are written in Rashi script, so you have to learn Rashi script, but all of them most likely are written without vowels. So how long is it going to take? It's going to take time. It's going to take time. So if a person's learning online with apps, he can't be learning quickly. It's going to take time. I can tell you when I was learning full time, the first time, when I was my third year of university. So I knew how to read Hebrew, right? I know how to necessarily learn how to read Hebrew without vowels. Right? Aramaic is a little bit different than Hebrew, but the roots of the words a lot of them are the same. It took time. You look at some of the commentaries, even if it's not in Rashi script, there are no vowels, right? But it took time to get used to what the words were. But that's when you're doing it constantly, and you're learning constantly. So if you have limited time, it's going to take time. You got to give yourself time. You got to give yourself a lot of time. It could take a while. It could take years. I don't want to make people feel bad. It could take years. But Hebrew is something, you got to focus on. I would say try and read every day. Try and spend 20 minutes, half an hour every day just reading, making sure you know how to read. Once you know how to read, then it's about understanding and breaking down words. That's a whole nother thing. I spent a year learning how to learn, but it took years, be able to do it on my own. It took years. But to learn how to, to learn how to learn and to break down words, it's a whole different thing. It takes time. It takes time. One of my projects, guys, after conversion, teach people how to learn, but it's going to take time. It definitely takes time, and you got to put in the effort. You got to put in the hours. You got to put in a lot of hours. But there's a lot of things that repeat. Once things repeat, it gets easier. Because then then if it keeps coming up over and over and over, you remember. Otherwise, you have to keep looking things up. And today people have it easy. There's art scroll. I remember I had this dictionary, this heretic, but a lot of people said you could use it. What happened here? Let's get knocked out. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, 1 sec. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. So, so I had to learn without art scroll, breaking down words, vocabulary. It was hard. Now it's easy. People have an art scroll, but that doesn't mean you know how to learn. You got to know how to break down the words, read the sentences, this, that. Took a long time to do that. You got to give yourself time, 100%. You got. One of the things the evil inclination is going to tell you is that come on, taking too long. It's this, it's that. No, you got to give it time, a lot of time. But you gotta. I would say, a person who really wants to practice, you got to learn a lot. You got to practice a lot. I would say at least half an hour a day. At least half an hour a day. Doesn't matter, you break your teeth, it'll get easier. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. Somebody mentions here a lot about occult symbols, gestures, evil eye the pyramid, devil horn, this, that. Doesn't mention anywhere in the Torah. Definitely avoiding them is a good thing, there's no question. I'm trying to think if they're mentioned. There is something about the evil eye, that's a different issue. It's about making someone jealous. If you build something or you have something fancy or whatever, someone comes jealous and that could actually kill you. Evil eye is a different thing. I don't want to get into now. The Gemara brings down things like stay away from, but we're not, let's say like demons or shadim or shindalit, we call them. We don't have contact with them. They've been much weakened. We don't see them. We don't fathom them. We wouldn't recognize them, even if they are like humans and do human things or whatever. So there's other things, a lot of things, let's say superstition, we don't hold them. Black cat runs in front of you, you have to worry about it? No. Walk under a ladder, not a problem. Unless, like the ladder is wobbly, it's going to fall on you. But, break a mirror, 7 years, bad luck, nothing. We don't hold to these things. Right? Do we have to worry about any of these things? No. Are they mentioned? I can check. I don't even think some of them are mentioned. I could be wrong. Right? I'll have to double check then. Someone says I learn Hebrew in 6 weeks. It's easy, okay? That's something everyone has to do if you want to be, if you want to be a Jew, or even a Jew wants to learn, wants to read and work on that. Something you have to do to learn how to pray, to say blessings. That's what the rabbinical court wants to see. That's the most important thing. Speaking Hebrew, they don't care. Reading from a Sefer Torah, without vowels, they don't care. If it's a guy and he's going to learn and he wants to learn and these other sources don't have vowels, yeah, you're going to have to pick that up. But again, you have to put in a lot of effort. The only advantage I had over anybody else is that, I grew up, I was taught to learn, to read Hebrew. Not that I understood anything, right? But I took 2 years of Hebrew in college, so learned basic words and broke the words down, what the roots of the words were. I got the yeshiva, a whole different thing. It was easier knowing how to read Hebrew. That was a big advantage. True, but at the same time, if you don't know what the words mean, it doesn't matter. It helps you to read, very good. So what did it say? Don't know. Right? So that takes a lot of effort. But again, the saving grace, so to speak, is that a lot of words repeat. Once a lot of words repeat, a whole different thing. Then a lot of words keep coming up over and over and over again. And then, it should be, after a certain amount of time, you won't have to look things up anymore. Certain things come up, once in a blue moon, they might have to, look it up and see what it means. Or maybe you get it from the context. But in general, a lot of things that a person's going to see, the more you learn, come up over and over and over and over again. So they come up over and over again. You don't have to worry about it. It's second nature. You don't even have to think about it. Yeah. Any other questions? Someone asks, I think or believe King Solomon had relations with the Queen of Sheba. No idea. He had a lot of wives, and many say that he just married them only because he wanted to consolidate, not power per se, but how the world should look at the Jewish people. Do you really have relations? Don't know. It says that, he's considered that he did idolatry. We're going to say, did he really do idolatry? What's the answer? Answer is that his wives did idolatry and he did not protest. So it was as if he did it. But did he really do it? No. Right? Did he have relations? He had all these wives, right? Doesn't seem like that was the case. Because the Torah says, if you look at Kings 1, chapter 10, verses 1 to 10, and verse 13, Chronicles 2, chapter 9, verses 1 to 9 and 12, that she came with, a lot of camels, spices, precious stones, tested wisdom, different things. But then it says that the king gave the queen, verse 13, all the desires she asked for. Now, what does that mean? What does that sound like? He had a relationship. That she was one of his 1,000 wives, as all these other 1,000 wives. Right, but he converted them before marriage, so that seemed to be okay. But she went back, so the Medrash then says she left, went against her faith, and she had a child through the king. And they say that child was Nebuchadnezzar, who later destroyed the temple Solomon built. Now, this is a Medrash. Now, it could be that this didn't really happen. But what's the message? Because, Medrash can't know 100% did happen, didn't happen. Right? There are contradictions in Midrashim. Right? But the message is he was excessively open and forthcoming with the queen. In other words, by giving her what she desired. So he's held accountable. It doesn't necessarily mean he did what seems like he did. Right? Who says? Right? Who says over here? There's a Medrash also that the Gemara says in Tractate Shabbat 56b, King Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter, right? One of the wives he had. And that marked the beginning of the formation of the Roman Empire, which really destroyed the Second Temple. So again, there are serious repercussions here, right? There are serious repercussions, on that. So it could be, right? Very well could be. At the same time, it's not really clear, right? It's totally, it's totally not clear over here. Exactly, exactly what happened. So yeah, that would be my answer. Any other questions? Someone asked, what's made or motivated you to relearn to be an Orthodox Jew? So I'll say like this, that I had something inside of me wanted to learn. Maybe that's what we call the Pintel Yid, the spark, so to speak. And I always wanted to learn. I ended up going to to college, to university, by the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York, because I had a conservative movement, because I didn't know anything else. And that's where I started my journey. But it came from within. That I wanted to learn. I mentioned before that I had this old cantor from European born, and I was wanting to be a cantor even though I didn't have a voice. So started learning under him a little bit, and I once asked him meaning of prayers, and he said read the English. That didn't help me. I did have a mentor sort of taught me to question more, ask questions, different things, but I didn't have any resources. So it was really, just a true desire to want to learn. And I just started in the wrong place. When I started in the wrong place, what really got things off to a much quicker start was the fact I took this course in biblical criticism, which they claim makes you Orthodox or atheist. Right? It's about the Wellhausen documentary hypothesis, 4 authors and a redactor, and all that. And basically, I had, faith issues because whatever reason, I believe God said it to Moses. Moses passed it down, and I had all this information I know what to do with. And then someone came back from yeshiva, and I know what yeshiva was, and told me, oh, you got these questions, this is where you have to go. And that's what started the process. But I can send you my ebook. I have an ebook that I wrote my story, pretty much what what happened. So I can send it if you want. That's the short version. Yeah, any other questions? One second. What's difficult for you to change or relearn? Loaded question. When I left the conservative movement, that was hard enough because all my friends were there. Then I came to Israel. I became part of the religious Zionist or modern Orthodox community, and I left that because I saw it didn't work. Then I just, and each time I had to start from scratch. 3 times I had to do that. That was humbling, extremely humbling, since I was being groomed to be something big in the modern Orthodox community, and I left it and started from scratch. Very hard thing to do. Very, very hard thing to do. But growing pains. Definitely a lot of growing pains, no question. I wish I wouldn't have to go through certain things, but okay. That's it. Someone asked, learning Hebrew takes time, but you learned in other things. Will Basin turn you down? Yes. They would turn you down because you can't read Hebrew good enough. They would turn you down for that. They wouldn't turn you down and say you can't convert. They'll say you have to continually practice and get your, be able to say blessings and not in English or whatever language you understand. You have to be able to read Hebrew. So you have to read at a certain pace. If they don't think you can read at a certain pace, they won't, they'll tell you that, until you hit a certain pace, it won't convert you. Because it's important, you have to be able to follow a service. You have to be able to at least read prayers, read from prayer book. At a certain level, certain pace. Someone asked, would it be bad to convert conservatives to make Aliyah and have an Orthodox conversion in Israel? It's easier, no question about it. You have a conservative conversion. You go through the classes. You have that conversion. They'll accept you coming back to Israel on the law of return. Not that I agree with it, but that's what they'll do. Would it be bad? Again, I would not say it's permissible. I'm not going to say it's permissible. Shouldn't be done. you're right. It's going to take a shorter process and easier to get to Israel, right? A number of people have asked this question. I'm not going to say it's okay. If a person does it, okay. Is it easier? 100%. 100%. But to go through something that's a travesty of a mockery of a sham, just so it's easier to come to Israel, I'm definitely not going to say that's good. Definitely not going to say that's good. Is it easier? Yeah. 100% it's easier. So what? Person wants my stamp of approval? No. Definitely not going to get my stamp of approval. Is it true it's easier? Sure. Not going to say no. But I'm not going to say it's okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Someone asks, will they ask you, say any of the prayers in Hebrew without reading it just from memory? Probably. They'll ask you if you know them. They're going to ask you your proficiency. Can you read Hebrew? If you say I break my teeth, they may ask you to read something to see what level of proficiency you have. Doing it from memory is not good. Because your memory can go, then what? And you forget things. You forget words. You don't want to do that. Right? You say, no, I know it verbatim. I don't make a mistake. They're not going to want that. They want to be able to see you read. Then you can read it from a prayer book. Someone asked, my local synagogue is Ashkenazi. I'm used to Sephardic pronunciation. Is it okay to speak Sephardic or should I adapt there to Ashkenazi? Again, I'm going to say like this. Whatever you decide to do, do it. If you're going to be Ashkenazic, stick to Ashkenazic tradition. Don't go back and forth. Do it one way or the other. If you want to pronounce Sephardic tradition, Ashkenazic in the synagogue, you can do that. Or vice versa. But if you're going to do it, stick to one thing and not go back and forth. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. I'm going to stop here. This is every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's now 4 o'clock Israel time, not 5 o'clock Israel time. End of next week, we change the clock. So we'll get back to normal time in a couple of weeks, at least for me, or anyone who doesn't change the clocks. Otherwise, I'm gonna sign out. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook, Mike Chaim Kaufman, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, or YouTube, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism. A lot of videos there on the Torah portion of the week, Pirkei Avos, Ethics for Our Fathers, Q&As, conversion things, Tanakh talk, controversial issues, all kinds of things. Take a look over there. Anyone has any questions, again, you could email me at rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com, whichever good